Cash flow. The impact of timings on a cash flow position of an organisation. Firstly, let's remind ourselves what is meant by the term cash flow. Cash flow is the money going into and out of a business. Remember, a cash flow forecast is a prediction of the money going into and out of a business, and a cash flow statement is the actual money that goes into and out of a business. So, cash flow is all about timing, and timing is key. The management of the inflows and outflows of a business is really important to ensure that the business has a positive liquidity position. As you can see in the example below, for the business we're going to use in this presentation, in January there is a negative closing balance. The business has a liquidity problem where it's in debt or overdrawn by £500. It would need to go to the bank and arrange an overdraft, and that would come with the charge of interest. If that wasn't possible, the business would have to cease trading because it's unable to meet its current liabilities. So option 1 would be to increase the revenue by increasing the selling price of the product. So as you can see, sales revenue in January has increased to £3,000. As a result, the closing balance is now a positive and the liquidity problem has been solved very simply by increasing sales revenue. Of course, option 2 could be look to cut costs, and as a result we could try and find a cheaper supplier. So you can see here the cost of sales has been reduced, as well as rent has been reduced by finding a smaller building to locate in. As a result, the closing balance is now a positive, again liquidity problem solved, of £100 in January. However, you do need to remember that by finding a cheaper supplier, that may impact on the quality of the product produced, and by moving to a smaller location, it may limit the amount of capacity that the business is able to produce and its overall growth. All factors to consider. Option 3 could be to arrange credit from your suppliers. So actually you pay a month later than when you actually purchase the items. So as you can see in this example here, the items that are being used to make the products we sold in January are actually paid for in February, and obviously February's are paid in March, and so on. So actually I have no cost of sales for January because I only pay for the January stock in February. But look at the overall position of the business. It gives me a net monthly figure of 0, which is technically breaking even. The closing balance is 0, but I no longer have a liquidity problem just by arranging credit from my supplier. Or we could look at option 4, where we look to sell off some of the unused assets. Now remember, an asset is something that a business owns, so this could be old machinery or old stock left lying around. So if we were to sell off £600 worth of old stock, look at how that impacts on our current position financially. We have a positive net monthly of £100 and the liquidity problem has been solved once again. So there's one problem with many different solutions. As you can see, there are more than one solution to solve a cash flow problem, and that is typical in an exam. However, when you make changes in the exam, you should be willing to comment on the changes and the impact they have. For example, if B was to sell off the old stock for £600 in January, then this would mean that the business has a positive closing balance of £100. This removes the need to borrow any money from the bank in the form of an overdraft. An overdraft would be expensive for the business, as this would have to pay the interest back on any money borrowed. As you can see, we've solved a liquidity problem, and it really is as simple as that.